Riddikulous! Hello, beautiful beings. Love and laughter. Tanya Rainbow Horse here. This video is for people who love Harry Potter, witches, wizards, light workers, energy healers, anybody on their spiritual path who wants to have fun, to bring in something from one of their favorite classic movies and help use it on your spiritual path. I love doing this. This is really cool. How we can take something from one of our favorite movies and bring it into the real world and apply it. And that's exactly what you can do with this. So this is the Riddikulous spell or charm from Harry Potter. I think it showed up when Remus Lupin was in there. I think it might be the Prisoner of Azkaban movie. So basically what he's teaching the students is he's got a big closet and this boggart comes out, and it comes out in the shape of something that each student individually fears. And so they sit with that fear and then they got to transform it. Then they got to transform it into something ridiculous. So now that's what we're going to do. First off, we're going to acknowledge when that fear or anxiety comes up. We're going to acknowledge it. We're going to let it sit there, and we're going to know that that's where we're at. That's the first acknowledgement. The first little step is acknowledging that we have that fear right now, and knowing that it's an illusion, but we get to ridiculous it. So then that would be step number 2, is now that we know the fear that is here, we've connected with it, we know it's an illusion, now we get to take action. And we're going to produce a ridiculous. And we're going to take that fear or anxiety and flip it completely opposite direction. Now, what does that look like? Let's see, what fear could I use as an example? Well, say that I have to go on this job interview and I'm nervous. You know, a lot of times we can cultivate a lot of fear energy around that. So how I might use this ridiculous spell with that would be, I've got that anxiety and the fears building up. I might think about the interview, and I would think about how it would be funny to have that interview. I would see myself in a jester costume with the hat with the 3 little balls, and I would have the shoes with the little twirls and the bells on them, and I would be dancing around like a jester, and I would be juggling something. And the person that's being interviewed with is sitting there, and I'm being interviewed while I'm dressed up as a jester costume, and they're laughing their butt off, loving it. They're having so much fun with the interview process that there's no way you're not going to get the job, because it's fun, it's lighthearted, you're just being authentic, you're authentically yourself as this jester, just dancing around and being ridiculous. See how the feeling feels different from being in the fear and then thinking of something completely opposite? Now you're on this job. Now when you go on the job interview, you're going to have this image of a jester in your mind, and you're going to just be able to move through the interview with grace and ease, because it changes up the whole energy of how you were going about it. Because when we're anxiety, we're scared. We have a fear of the outcome. We don't know how it's going to come. We don't want it to turn out bad. And that's the energy that we're in. Or if we're in fear, we're afraid that this thing is going to come true and that it's so real, and we feel its realness. And so then that's why we move it to the opposite end of the spectrum and think of something ridiculous, because it moves us out of that heaviness and into something lighthearted and playful, and also into an outcome that we want to have experience, that we want to have, that we want to come true. Or it just clears our energy enough to go through the experience without worrying about it, because now we've cleared that fear. We've turned that fear into laughter. Laughing is contagious. It's very contagious. If you're hanging out with a friend and they're laughing, you're just going to sit there giggling. And, playfulness is not heavy. That's why they're 2 dualities. The fear is so heavy and pulling you down, and the laughter is so flighty. It's so light. So we're gonna, whenever we're in fear, anxiety, we're gonna produce an image of the complete opposite. Maybe you have a, I'll use another example. Maybe you gotta pass your driver's test. I know that one was a tough one for me. I wish I knew this Riddikulous spell then, because it would have been a lot easier for me. I was like literally just like shaking. I don't even know how I passed my driver's test. So maybe you have your driver's test, or you have some kind of test, and you're scared you're gonna forget stuff. Your palms are gonna get all clammy. You're just a nervous wreck. Your stomach's in knots. Everything's twisting and turning. And you just don't even want to do it. You feel like you're going to puke. Well, you're like, wait a second. This is not how this has to be. I can ridiculous it. Now I'm going to think about me driving a monster truck with giant wheels and a big old horn going, "Aroo! Aroo! Aroo!" And I'm standing on the street, and the driver test person is in that monster truck saying, "All right, it's your turn for the driving test." And I'm just like, what? I get to take my driving test in a monster truck? Sweet! See how that changes the energy? Completely different. So now when you go to take your driver test, you have the image of you being in that monster truck and taking your driver's test. And it makes it a lot easier. It makes the energy of going through your driver's test a lot less of a challenge for you, because you're not focusing on plummeting in it. You're focusing on having fun with it. And so naturally you're going to most likely pass it, because then you're just going to be like, no big deal, go along with it. You're like, oh, I got this. I can handle this, because you've changed up the energy. Now, the third step would be to continually cultivating the energy of holding space for this whenever anxiety or fear comes up for you. So you can program it into your system and use it and bring it up as a tool whenever you need it. You don't have to just use it with fear or anxiety. You can use it with anything that, you might turn negative. You can always see the opposite end of the spectrum, and it will change the energy up for you. It will free up space. It will take that energy that you were investing in the dark heaviness and making it lighthearted. And so you have that as a tool that you can use in your toolbox and be ridiculous with whatever you need to. So now I open this up, and I want to hear down in those comments. Let's have a conversation. Let's have fun and be playful. Let's, talk about this. Who has practiced and played around with doing a ridiculous spell, and how has it worked for you? What does it look like for you? Tell me something that you're scared of and what you use for the complete opposite as the ridiculous. What do you see it? Do you see, some person that is scary to you? Do you see them dressed up in a clown costume? Or somebody that, some authoritative figure that is a man, you see him dressed like in a dress? Or some authoritative figure of a female, you see her dressed up in like a monkey suit? There's so many options, so you can use it in many different ways. And I want to hear how you guys are using it. I want to hear how you're playing with the ridiculous. Let's see, what would I use? Oh, well, I've told you, the jester comes out for me often. I love the archetype of the jester, so I will use him or her for a lot of my fears. So I would use the jester, but I want to hear what you guys use down there. What makes you laugh when you are in fear or anxiety? How do you transform those tough things into something positive? Let's open it up. Let's have fun. Let's be playful. All right, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for showing up. Ridiculous! Until the next video.